Have you ever felt like the person who's supposed to welcome you into their family is secretly plotting to tear your life apart? I'm talking about a betrayal so insidious, so personal, it creeps into every corner of your happiness, threatening to unravel the love you've fought so hard to build. That's exactly what I've been living through with my mother-in-law, a woman who I thought would be my biggest supporter, but turned out to be the greatest threat to my marriage. This isn't just a story about family drama. It's a raw, heart-wrenching journey through love, suspicion, and the desperate fight to hold onto the life I've built with my wife. I'm going to take you through every painful moment, the early days of hope, the slow realization of my mother-in-law's schemes, and the battle to protect my family while wrestling with a truth I never saw coming. Stick with me, because I'm still figuring out if I've done enough to save what matters most, and I need to know what you think. How do you fight for love when the enemy is family? Let's dive into the hardest fight of my life. My name's Jake, and I'm 34 now, living in a modest two-story house in Boise, Idaho, a city tucked into the foothills of the Rocky Mountains, where the Boise River cuts through like a quiet lifeline, and the air always carries a hint of sagebrush. Boise's got this unassuming charm, with its tree-lined streets in the north end and the distant peaks that feel like they're watching over you. But for me, it's also a battlefield, a place where every memory of my marriage is tangled with tension and doubt. I grew up in a nearby suburb, in a cookie-cutter neighborhood where the biggest drama was whose lawn looked best, and now I work as a high school history teacher, grading papers late at night in a cluttered home office, trying to make sense of a personal history that's anything but straightforward. The core of this story, the ache that still gnaws at me, is about how my mother-in-law, Linda, spent years trying to undermine my marriage to her daughter, Emily, starting back in 2016, just a year after we tied the knot. Linda, now 62, is a retired nurse with a sharp tongue and a knack for control, the kind of person who smiles while twisting the knife, always presenting herself as just looking out for her baby. She's the key player in this mess, the one whose actions drove a wedge between me and Emily, my 32-year-old wife, a graphic designer with a gentle spirit and a fierce loyalty I've always cherished. The emotional conflict tearing me apart was the clash between my deep, unwavering love for Emily and the growing paranoia and anger I felt toward Linda, compounded by the fear that I might lose my wife to her mother's manipulations, leaving me questioning my worth and my place in this family. The unexpected twist came in late 2021, when I uncovered that Linda's vendetta wasn't just about me not being good enough for Emily. It was rooted in a hidden grief over a failed marriage of her own, a pain she projected onto us, flipping my resentment into a complicated mix of pity and lingering frustration. This story unfolds in Boise during the turbulent years between 2016 and 2023, with the city's quiet neighborhoods, the golden glow of autumn along the Greenbelt, and the harsh bite of winter snow as the backdrop to my unraveling piece. Every memory is tied to this place. The creak of our porch swing where Emily and I shared late-night talks, the smell of pine during hikes in the foothills, the distant hum of downtown traffic that seemed to echo my growing unease. Memories of the early days with Emily come rushing back as I sit in my office now, a stack of ungraded essays on my desk, the faint sound of the Boise River in the distance pulling me back to sweeter times. I think about when we first met at 26 and 24 at a local farmer's market downtown, her sketching logos on a napkin while I fumbled through a conversation about heirloom tomatoes, both of us laughing over shared awkwardness, dreaming of a life beyond weekend dates. I remember the night I proposed, under the string lights at a friend's backyard barbecue near in Morrison Park, her eyes shining as she said yes, the future feeling so certain, so ours. Now, flipping through old photos on my laptop, grainy shots of us biking along the Greenbelt, grinning with mud on our jeans after a rainy hike. I wonder how something so pure could get so messy, and why I didn't see Linda's resentment brewing before it poisoned everything. The unraveling of my piece started in the summer of 2016, during one of Boise's endless golden evenings, when the sunsets painted the sky over the foothills and the air buzzed with possibility, except for me, once Linda's subtle jabs began to take root. Emily and I had been married for just over a year, living in a rented duplex near the north end, saving up for a house, spending weekends exploring Bogus Basin or grilling in our tiny backyard, when I started noticing a shift in how Linda treated me. She dropped by unannounced, always with a helpful comment about how I wasn't pulling my weight, how Emily deserved better, her tone sugary but her words sharp, leaving me second-guessing myself as I washed dishes or mowed the lawn, wondering if I really was failing my wife. I remember standing in our cramped kitchen, the smell of burnt toast lingering, feeling my chest tighten as Linda's latest critique echoed in my head, her voice a constant hum of doubt, even when she wasn't there. The real storm broke in early 2017, a moment that still burns in my memory like a fresh wound, when Linda's interference escalated from passive-aggressive digs to something far more deliberate, shattering my sense of security on a chilly spring morning. I'd just gotten home from a long day of teaching, my bag heavy with papers, to find Emily unusually quiet, staring out the window at the budding trees along our street, her face a mask of worry. I could tell something was off, a tension in the air thicker than the fog that sometimes rolls off the river, and after some prodding, I learned Linda had been filling her head with doubts, telling her I wasn't committed, that I'd been distant, even hinting I might be hiding something, all based on nothing but her own twisted narrative. Standing there, the creak of our old hardwood floors underfoot, I felt a mix of rage and helplessness crash over me, knowing I'd done nothing wrong, but seeing in Emily's uncertain gaze that Linda's words had planted a seed of mistrust. The emotional toll of Linda's meddling carved a hollow in me, deeper than the canyons near the Snake River, as the months turned into years and the strain between Emily and me grew heavier than a Boise winter. I tried to brush it off at first, reassuring Emily I was all in, but Linda's constant presence, her surprise visits, her backhanded compliments at family dinners, kept the doubt alive, leaving me sleepless on our couch, staring at the ceiling while the hum of crickets outside mocked my restlessness, wondering if I'd ever be enough in her mother's eyes. I drive aimlessly along State Street, past the familiar diners and strip malls, the city's normalcy a cruel contrast to my spiraling thoughts, hating myself for not confronting Linda sooner, for letting her words fester. Boise's beauty, the vibrant fall leaves along the Riverwalk, the buzz of community events at Julia Davis Park, felt like a backdrop to my pain, a reminder of the happiness I was struggling to hold on to, each season passing like a countdown to something breaking. The aftermath was a slow, aching grind, stretching through 2018 and 2019, as I fought to shield my marriage while grappling with a resentment I couldn't shake. Emily didn't pull away completely, but the warmth between us dimmed, our conversations shorter, every disagreement amplified by the shadow of Linda's influence, like when a simple argument over chores turned into a fight about whether I really cared, her mother's voice echoing in her words. I'd spend hours grading papers in silence, the scratch of my pen a distraction from the emotional ache, coming home to find Emily lost in her design work, her passion a wall I couldn't breach. Linda, meanwhile, kept up her campaign, dropping hints at every holiday gathering. Thanksgiving at her house in Meridian, Christmas with passive-aggressive gifts like self-help books on being a better husband, leaving me to stew in frustration on late-night walks through our neighborhood, past craftsman-style homes with glowing windows, wondering why she hated me so much, if I'd ever fit into this family. The city's holiday cheer, with lights twinkling along Boise Avenue, felt like a mockery of my struggle, each decoration a reminder of the unity I craved but couldn't grasp. The unexpected twist came in November 2021, on a cold, overcast afternoon in Boise, when I finally uncovered the real reason behind Linda's vendetta, a truth that shifted my anger into a tangled mess of empathy and lingering hurt. I'd reached a breaking point after another tense family dinner, where Linda's barbed comments about my lack of ambition cut deeper than usual, and I decided to confront her privately, driving to her house in Meridian, the smell of damp leaves thick in the air as I sat across from her in her pristine living room. At first, she deflected, claiming she just wanted the best for Emily, but when I pressed, her facade cracked, and she admitted it wasn't really about me. It was about her own failed marriage to Emily's father, a bitter divorce decades ago that left her terrified of seeing her daughter hurt the same way, projecting her pain onto me as the potential villain. Standing there, the hum of her old heater fading into the background, I felt a storm of emotions, shock at her vulnerability, guilt for not seeing her hurt sooner, and a deep sadness that her grief had nearly cost me my marriage. Determined not to let Linda's past destroy my future, I poured everything into rebuilding trust with Emily, turning my pain into a fight for what we had. Even as I wrestled with this new understanding of her mother, I started small, carving out intentional time with Emily, like weekend drives to McCall, watching the snow dust the mountains while we talked about everything but Linda, slowly rediscovering the ease we'd lost. I suggested we set boundaries with her mom, a tough conversation over coffee at a downtown cafe, the bitter taste mirroring my nerves, but Emily agreed to limit Linda's unannounced visits, a small victory that felt like reclaiming our space. I even tried reaching out to Linda, not to forgive outright, but to acknowledge her pain, a tense phone call where I offered an olive branch, though her guarded response left me unsure if we'd ever truly connect. Boise's winter, the quiet blanket of snow over the foothills, the glow of holiday markets, felt like a cautious promise, though every step forward with Emily still carried the weight of her mother's shadow. Reflecting on my past with Emily and the life we dreamed of became a near-daily ritual, especially on quiet evenings in my office, the smell of old books grounding me as I thought about what could have been. I'd remember the nights we'd spent at local breweries like Payette, sharing flights of craft beer, planning a future with a fixer-upper near the river, her quiet laughter a lifeline I clung to until Linda's interference nearly snapped it. I remembered the day we moved into our first place together, hauling boxes in the rain, laughing as we slipped on the wet porch, a memory now tainted by the image of Emily's worried face after one of Linda's talks. I'd sit on our back deck, watching the sunset over the Boise skyline, wondering if I'd been too passive, letting Linda's words slide for too long, or if I'd ignored red flags in her overprotectiveness from the start. Boise's renewal, spring blooms along the Greenbelt, the buzz of summer festivals, felt like a challenge to my stagnation, a reminder that healing wasn't as simple as a few boundaries or a shared trip. As the years stretched into 2022 and beyond, I built a fragile balance with Emily, though the unresolved tension with Linda lingered like the morning mist over the river. We bought our current house in late 2022, a small victory in the East End, decorating it with her artwork and my thrifted furniture, each piece a quiet vow to rebuild, though trust came in slow, uneven waves, tested by every family event where Linda's presence loomed. I kept interactions with her civil but distant, seeing her only at necessary gatherings like Emily's birthday, our exchanges polite nods over cake, unable to fully let go of the hurt but too tired to fight. I started journaling, late at night with a glass of whiskey, writing down memories of Emily and me, from our first clumsy date to the day we adopted a rescue cat named Juniper, hoping to anchor myself in the good while wrestling with whether I'd ever confront Linda fully. Boise's quiet corners, the hidden trails near Table Rock, the hush of early mornings by the river, became my refuge, places to question if I'd ever trust family dynamics again, or if that innocence was gone for good. The grind of moving forward while carrying this hurt felt like trudging through Boise's snowy streets after a storm, each step forward shadowed by a past I couldn't fully escape. I'd run into old friends at events like the Boise Music Festival, their casual, "How's the family?" questions a minefield, forcing me to smile through half-truths while inside I burned with the secret of Linda's meddling, a weight I hadn't shared beyond Emily. I started second-guessing my approach to Linda, wondering if I'd been too harsh in setting boundaries, or if closure meant a deeper conversation about her past, a thought that kept me up on nights when the wind howled outside my window louder than my resolve. I even considered family counseling, floating the idea to Emily during a quiet dinner, but backed out each time, terrified of reopening old wounds, unsure if it'd help us heal or just stir more tension. Driving down Warm Springs Avenue alone, past the historic homes, I wrestled with whether I'd let this interference steal too much from me, or if I'd reclaimed enough by holding on to Emily. The weight of judgment, both my own and the silent tension with Linda, didn't fade easily. Even as I pushed forward, each memory of her meddling a reminder of how fragile family can be. I'd spend hours in our backyard, tinkering with a vegetable garden, finding a shovel Emily had painted with sunflowers as a silly gift years back, and feel a pang of longing for the ease we'd lost, now replaced by a guarded hope when we'd share a quiet laugh over dinner. I started avoiding extended family gatherings beyond the bare minimum, unable to sit through hours of small talk with Linda there, wondering if she ever regretted her actions or if she still saw me as a threat. I'd walk through downtown Boise on quiet evenings, past the Capitol building glowing under streetlights, feeling like a stranger in my own story, asking myself if I'd been too quick to distance myself from Linda, or if that space was the only way to protect what little peace I'd found with Emily. The city's charm, the glow of farmers' markets, the smell of fresh coffee from local roasters, felt like a mockery of my inner struggle, a reminder that moving on wasn't just about surviving, but about living with a scar. By mid-2023, I'd carved out a life I could call stable, with my teaching job offering small joys, mentoring students, coaching the debate team, and a marriage that felt stronger, though not unscathed. Emily and I celebrated small victories, like a weekend getaway to Sun Valley, her hand in mine as we watched the stars, though I still caught flickers of tension in her eyes during family mentions, a reminder of the trust we were still rebuilding. Yet, every time I'd see Linda at a gathering, a rare attempt to play nice, usually around holidays, I'd feel that old mix of resentment and curiosity, wondering if we'd ever truly address her past, or if we were doomed to this surface-level truce. I started volunteering at a local history museum, guiding tours on weekends, the stories of Boise's past a bomb and a blade, unsure if I was healing or just hiding from the bigger questions about my mother-in-law and the family ties I'd let strain. Reflecting on the journey to protect my marriage, I spent a lot of time wandering Boise's quieter spots, like the trails near Camel's Back Park, the rolling hills a somber mirror to my mood as I thought about what I'd gained and lost. I'd remember the early days of our relationship, sneaking into late-night concerts at the Knitting Factory, dreaming of a shared future while the music drowned out our worries, a hope now tainted by the memory of Emily's uncertain looks after Linda's whispers. I thought about Linda's quiet control growing up, her overprotectiveness always hiding something deeper, a bond strained by grief, now just a fleeting glance if I pass her at a family event. I'd sit on park benches near the river, grading papers in the fading light, wondering if I'd been too naive to see her pain, or if I'd ignored red flags in her behavior all along. Boise's beauty, the rolling foothills, the vibrant street art, felt like a challenge, pushing me to decide if I'd let this hurt define me, or if I could forge something new despite it. Now, as I sit here in our living room, the soft glow of a lamp casting shadows on the walls, the distant sound of a neighbor's lawnmower drifting through the open window, I'm still wrestling with where to go from here. Emily and I are in a better place, stronger than we were, but not whole, not yet. There are nights when I catch her staring off, and I wonder if she's still torn between me and her mother's influence, if Linda's interference left a crack that'll never fully close. And then there's Linda herself. Part of me wants to sit down with her again, to hash out her past and ours, maybe even find a way to coexist if I can understand why she projected her pain onto us. But another part of me just wants to focus on Emily and the life we're building, to stop letting her mother's shadow loom over us. Boise's taught me resilience, with its rugged landscapes and stubborn spirit, but I'm not sure if I'm ready to face that part of my past head-on. So, I'm turning to you, my listeners, because I'm at a crossroads and I could really use your perspective. Have you ever had to deal with a family member who tried to come between you and someone you love? How did you handle it? Did you confront them, set boundaries, or just let time do its work? I'm torn between reaching out to Linda for one last honest conversation, risking more tension, or focusing solely on Emily and letting the past stay buried. What would you do in my shoes? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because I'm still figuring out how to protect my family without losing more of myself in the process. Thanks for listening to my story. I'll see you in the next one.